The Justice Department signs on to investigate another police department, an entire department under the microscope, on a day when another police department came out in force to bury one of its own. This is Special Report. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. Attorney General Loretta Lynch announced today the investigation into the Baltimore Police Department's role in the death of Freddie Gray will begin immediately. This as thousands of officers lined the streets to say goodbye to one of their own, shot to death while on duty last week. Tonight, correspondent Kevin Cork on the sometimes dangerous line between investigating the police and letting them do their job.
In Seaford, New York, solemn solidarity in a sea of blue.
We are here to let you know that we are with you.
By the thousands, law enforcement officers mourn the death of the NYPD's Brian Moore. The 25-year-old officer was gunned down Saturday while on patrol in Queens. Today's procession, a visual outpouring of support for Moore and his extended family in blue. Men and women trained to trust their instincts, but increasingly accused of losing the trust of those they've sworn to protect.
This investigation will begin immediately.
In Washington, Attorney General Loretta Lynch announced that the Justice Department will investigate the Baltimore Police Department's use of force and whether there are patterns of discriminatory policing.
If unconstitutional policies or practices are found, we will seek a court-enforceable agreement to address those issues.
The investigation by the department's Civil Rights Division is separate from a probe already underway into the death of 25-year-old Freddie Gray, who suffered a fatal spine injury while in Baltimore police custody, setting off a night of rioting and then days of protest in the city and across the country. The inspection welcomed by Congressman Elijah Cummings, who said, quote, "The DOJ has reinforced its commitment to helping us get to the bottom of the breakdown in trust between the police and the community." This latest investigation is similar to one conducted in Ferguson, Missouri, where a white officer shot an unarmed black teenager last year. While the officer was cleared of any wrongdoing, the DOJ concluded the department routinely engaged in racially biased practices. But there are major differences in the cases. While the victim in each instance was black, half of the officers charged in the Gray incident in Baltimore are African American, and the city's leadership cadre, mayor, police chief, even the city's state's attorney are all African American. Still, critics say they don't expect the Baltimore PD to fare much better.
The downside is that they're asking in federal bureaucrats who are hostile to law enforcement, have no experience actually as law enforcement officers, and they're not going to get a fair evaluation of the practices in Baltimore.
Brett, the Attorney General's probe actually mirrors a pattern of looking into local law enforcement officials and their affairs, and that's troubling for a great many critics. In fact, since 2009, federal authorities have looked into at least 20 police departments across the country, and that is part of an increasing reach by the government into local law enforcement.
Kevin Cork live on the North Lawn. Kevin, thank you. So is the Justice Department doing the right thing by investigating Baltimore's entire police department? Let me know at facebook.com/BrettBaerSR or on Twitter @BrettBaer. Use the hashtag Special Report. President Obama took a trip to Oregon today and stepped into a trade war. The president visited Nike headquarters to say it's time to, quote, just do it on the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. While the president touted the deal as one that would give the U.S. the upper hand, critics were quick to point out that it was an odd backdrop, given that Nike doesn't make any of its shoes inside the United States. For its part, Nike pledged today to create up to 10,000 jobs in the U.S. if Congress allows President Obama to fast-track that deal. On the job front, employers added 223,000 jobs to their rolls in April, bringing the unemployment rate down to 5.4%, its lowest level since May 2008. The job participation rate ticked up 0.1% to 62.8%. That was all welcome news. Despite the job participation rate on Wall Street, the Dow gained 267 points, the S&P 500 was up 28, and the Nasdaq closed 58 ahead. And for the week, as you see here, the Dow gained nearly 1%, the S&P 500 was up 0.33%, the Nasdaq lost 0.0005%. Heightened security tonight at U.S. military bases across the country. The Pentagon has raised its threat level to its highest point in nearly 5 years. As national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin reports, it's due to new terror threats and you probably won't be surprised who's making them.
It's the first time since the 10th anniversary of 9/11 the U.S. military has raised its force protection levels. The head of U.S. Northern Command, Admiral William Gortney, ordered the protection level raised to Bravo at all U.S. military installations, which means more security checks, more security guards, unexpected drills due to a, quote, predictable terrorist threat, in this case involving ISIS.
There's been private, behind-the-scene, back-channel warnings about this, but this is significant by the fact that all of DoD is doing this, which tells me that clearly there's something out there we have to all be concerned about.
The Pentagon followed suit. Those arriving at the entrance to U.S. military bases across the country this morning were reminded that the security level was now FP-Con Bravo, the idea to keep would-be attackers off guard. This is, quote, not due to a specific credible threat, but certainly informed by recent events, prudent measure to be unpredictable. The decision comes a day after FBI Director James Comey warned reporters that ISIS followers in the U.S. are being urged to strike. Quote, it's almost as if there is a devil sitting on the shoulder saying kill, 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 kill all day long. They are recruiting and tasking at the same time.
Right now they're using the social websites, the social media, to entice these people to either go away and learn how to fight or to attack people within this country.
The Pentagon says it shares Director Comey's concern about the potential threat posed by homegrown terrorists. ISIS has warned that dozens of trained fighters are hiding in the U.S. and are now ready to strike. In March, ISIS put out a so-called kill list targeting the names and home addresses of 100 U.S. troops, and more recently, a known British jihadist issued a threat against the military commander charged with training the Syrian opposition. U.S. military commanders want to reassure military families, but urge everyone to be on alert. An example of the level of concern, the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, has canceled its spring concert tonight due to elevated security levels at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
3,200 U.S. military installations, including all major bases, recruiting centers, and health clinics, are affected by the new security alert, which comes on the eve of the Gulf leaders arriving in Washington for a summit on combating ISIS. We've just learned, in addition to the meeting at Camp David, Saudi Arabia's new King Salman will meet with President Obama at the White House next week. Brett?
Jennifer Griffin live at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thank you. Hillary Clinton faces a new controversy tonight. While the Democratic frontrunner pivoted left on immigration this week, audio has surfaced that has her taking a much different stance. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry with Hillary Clinton in her own words.
Hillary Clinton shifted hard to the left on immigration this week, appearing in Las Vegas with undocumented workers, a particularly dramatic flip-flop from when she was a senator, and railed against illegal immigrants in an audio tape obtained by the Republican National Committee.
We've got to do several things, and I am, adamantly against illegal immigrants. I made this exception basically on humanitarian grounds because of the individual stories, but certainly we've got to do more at our borders, and people have to stop employing illegal immigrants.
Now Clinton wants illegal immigrants to get citizenship as she courts Hispanic voters by hammering the Republican field.
Today, not a single Republican candidate, announced or potential, is clearly and consistently supporting a path to citizenship. Not one.
It also helps her try to lock up the Democratic nomination by delighting the New York Times editorial page, which declared this week, quote, Hillary Rodham Clinton took a large step forward, up front and to the left of President Obama. This is a good place to be for a presidential candidate who proposes to get the stalled debate moving again. That move to the left of Mr. Obama at the Vegas event on Cinco de Mayo was no accident. Clinton had some repair work to do. Last September at Democrat Tom Harkin's annual steak fry in the key state of Iowa, Clinton ducked questions from several young immigrants, pressing her on why the president had not moved quicker on executive action.
How do you feel about Obama's delay on immigration? Well, I think we want to keep working.
And in a recent interview with Fox, Democrat Martin O'Malley hit Clinton for flipping on her 2008 opposition to another key element of immigration reform.
I know that for my part, I believe that we should be making it easier for new American immigrants to obtain driver's licenses rather than harder.
Her her aides believe she's leading on the issue, which may be a helpful distraction from the fact that even some Democrats are piling on the questions surrounding the candidate and former President Bill Clinton.
The amount of schmoozing involved and crossing lines and one person putting money in a foundation and then Clinton getting unbelievable amounts for his speeches and then contracts going one way or another, it's not good.
Clinton aides continue to believe they'll get past those questions because they say there's no evidence of direct action on behalf of contributors to that foundation, though Jeffrey Sachs noted there were blurry lines. He said there's something there, and it could backfire in the general election. Brett?
Yeah, Jeffrey Sachs, clearly a left-leaning
absolutely
person. But how many questions has she taken?
7 or 8, and most of the questions she's sort of deflected to talking points. Other candidates, I think Carly Fiorina has taken about 78. Now, Carly Fiorina needs to get her name out there more, needs to probably engage the press more, but it's a matter of time before Secretary Clinton will have to do the same.
We'll see. Ed, thanks.
Good to see you.
Up next, Mr. Popular, what's behind Vladimir Putin's soaring approval ratings? First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 5 in Atlanta, where 4 people are dead following a plane crash on Interstate 285 this morning. Witnesses say they heard a loud boom, then saw a fireball when the plane hit the highway. Fox 2 in San Francisco, with a father and 2 young children found safe after disappearing from their campsite. Sheriff's deputies said the family was found in good spirits about 10 to 20 miles away by the California National Guard. A family member tells Fox 2 the father spent hours attempting to draw the attention of search teams before being rescued. And this is a live look at New York from our affiliate Fox 5. They're covering an unexpected turn in a child support case that sounds like it's right off a daytime talk show. Twin girls born to one New Jersey mother have different fathers. Court documents show a paternity test revealed that the man who the mom wanted to pay child support only fathered one of the girls. Experts say it can happen, and it does. The odds? 1 in 13,000. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.